and welcome to Talking CB and welcome back to the channel here today. And with all that Neymar talk now in the distance, it is time to once again focus on our pre-season campaign. Our US tour started very successfully with a win against Juventus, only 2-1 on the night on Saturday, but it was a very convincing display, and certainly Valverde would have been very impressed with what he saw on that night from his players. He played a very different team from the first half to the second half. He used a lot of his players in that time, and all of which seemed to understand the way of playing, and they played really well against Juventus. What I would say though, on Wednesday night in Maryland, it's going to be a different story against Man United. Juventus as well were coming into their sort of start of their pre-season campaign. The problem is when we go and play Man United on that Wednesday, it is going to be well into their pre-season schedule. They are much ahead of us in terms of their preparations. When they play that game on Wednesday night, they would have already played 4 pre-season matches prior to this one. They took on LA Galaxy at the start of their pre-season, followed by Real Salt Lake, and then they've had 2 quite high quality matches with Manchester City, and last night against Real Madrid, which they won on penalty kicks, and that was a pretty bad penalty shootout, let me tell you that. 10 penalties in all, only 3 of them were successful from both sides. So that was a very interesting game which went all the way down to the wire, and it's a big game coming up in Maryland on Wednesday night. We go to the FexExField Stadium in Landover. It kicks off at 7:30 local time, and once again it's expected to be a very high attendance, much similar to the Juve game the other night. Around 82,000 spectators are expected to be in the stadium to witness once again the likes of Lionel Messi, Luis Suarez, and of course Neymar, who does seem to be staying at the club now. It is still not 100% confirmed, although I think we should definitely place a lot of trust in Gerard Piqué's words. He came out last night, of course, I did a very short video to say that Neymar would be staying. He posted a picture up on Instagram and Twitter saying se queda, which means he stays. So it does seem now like Neymar is going to be with us next season and beyond, possibly after PSG did try to take him, but it doesn't appear to have come off. But I'm quite excited for this pre-season match. I think we're going into it with a lot of optimism. Under Ernesto Valverde, we go into this game having completed a very impressive performance, like I say, against Juventus. I think we played a very nice style of play. A lot of our play was focused on the passing in the midfield, playing between the lines. And what I noticed as well, looking at a lot of graphics as well following that game, there was a lot of triangles being played, which of course was come to promise in Pep Guardiola's time, where players would receive the ball, particularly the midfield players, and they would make sure they were in a triangle sort of formation, 3 players getting on the ball and making sure they were moving into space, getting enough time on the ball and playing it. And it was really nice to watch, certainly the likes of Elena, Sergi Samper of course, and Denis Suarez having really effective games against Juventus. It was the first game of pre-season, and of course, the level wasn't extremely high from both teams, but what you could take from it was the confidence of these young guys coming into the team and feeling like they've got a real chance here under Ernesto Valverde, who seems very much willing to give a young player an opportunity if he warrants it. And certainly the likes of Samper wouldn't have done their reputation any harm at all in that performance against Juventus on Saturday night. But this one, like I say, will be a more difficult game. United have come into this window quite strong. They've signed Romelu Lukaku, who's already got off the mark for Manchester United. They've got the likes of Paul Pogba in their squad. Anthony Martial produced a very nice assist last night against Real Madrid. So certainly coming into this one, the level will go up. Whether we can sort of match that, whether we can go on from that and certainly raise our level remains to be seen. I hope that we can. I think in this one you're likely to see a much more balanced lineup and a balanced team from Ernesto Valverde. I think he will come into this one and sort of stick with the team for more than 45 minutes. We'll definitely see the likes of Neymar, Messi, Suarez. Like I say, the fans are very excited to see those kind of names, but I think it's interesting to see how he lines up and what sort of system he goes with once again. I personally would start with a strong team. I think Jasper Cillessen once again will be in goal. There's no Ter Stegen on this pre-season tour. He's had an extended holiday from his efforts at the Confederations Cup. Also, apparently today, Ortola didn't train due to some stomach problems, so Whether he'll be in the squad for the game on Wednesday evening remains to be seen. But what I would say about the team, I think certainly we're going to see a bit more of Nelson Semedo in this coming game. We saw 45 minutes of him against Juventus, but I wanted to see a bit more because I think the problem was that he was on that right-hand side and so was Arda Turan. I think we all agree that Arda Turan did not have a great game on Wednesday night. He was slowing play down, he was receiving the ball in areas and not really doing a lot with it. He was playing very, very safe, and I think we all felt like that sort of shackled Semedo a little bit down that right hand side because he is such an explosive player. He does like to play with a lot of pace, and I just think Arda Turan was sort of stopping him from making some clever runs or possibly getting on the end of some passes, and I just want to see a little bit more of Nelson Semedo to see what he can bring to the table for the coming season, and I hope we can see more of him coming. I think the likes of Piqué, Umtiti, Marlon will all play. The players that actually didn't get on the pitch against Juventus were Vermaelen, Douglas and Munir, so it'll be interesting to see if any of those players play against Man United, but also it could send out a message if they don't. I think Valverde clearly doesn't count on Douglas. The club are trying to sell him. The same goes for Vermaelen and possibly Arda Turan as well. Munir's future is unknown. I think we've all agreed that he's got talent. He's a young player that's been trying to break into the season. For a number of seasons he's been trying to break into the equation of Barcelona. He started off very, very strongly when he first made his debut, but since then he has dwindled away a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see whether Valverde uses him come Wednesday evening. But in the midfield, like I say, I would love to see Sergio Samper get some more minutes because I think we all enjoyed watching him on Saturday night because it wasn't just the sort of way that he played, it was the confidence he showed, not only in himself but also on the ball. He wasn't afraid to take that ball on, to make forward runs and particularly to make forward passes. There was a few balls very, very early on when he might have been suffering from a little bit of nerves, straight into Neymar's feet. He started attacks. He was very, very energetic around the pitch because he's not really known for his sort of speed across ground or his speed on the ball, but he was certainly very, very athletic. What I saw in that first half on Saturday, he was getting to the ball quickly, he was winning it back, and I think that's maybe something that's a bit underrated in Samper's game. Of course, he's known for being so good on the ball. His passing range is superb. He's got excellent vision. He always allows himself to have time on the ball. But one of the things that are quite underrated about his game is the defensive side too. He can do that style. I think his season at Granada for me would have been a little bit wasted, but he would have learned a lot of things there to do with playing in a position and being disciplined in the way that you play and the way defensively. They would have spent a long time on the back foot at Granada, so that would have helped him in that regard. And I think certainly his performance on Saturday definitely deserves a run out again on Wednesday evening against United. So I really, really hope that we see more of Samper. Exactly the same can be said for Alenya and Denis Suarez. And the thing about Denis Suarez's performance was it was coming off the left-hand side. Now, he played wide left a lot of the time when he was at Villarreal, which is of course the club that we bought him back from in last summer. So I think it's important that Denis Suarez can show that not only is he able to play as this creative midfielder that we know he all can do, he can also play in a wider role where we do need somebody to step in for Messi, Suarez, Neymar. Of course, it's important to remember as well, Deulofeu is not on the tour. He is still at home, and he will definitely come in at times when we need to replace the likes of Messi, Suarez and Neymar. But I'm just hoping that once again on Wednesday we see Valverde take a few risks in his team selection. We want to see these young players, we want to see what they can offer, and we want to see the team again playing that nice style of play, passing through the lines and being creative and just maybe understanding the way they're supposed to be playing, because I think it's been a while now since we've sort of sat down, watched a Barcelona team that all understand what they're trying to do. And I actually made the point on Facebook and Twitter after the game on Saturday. I basically said that even though Valverde used two completely different teams on that Saturday evening, it was so important that both the teams understood the style. Both teams, although the players are very, very different, and there was a lot of, the second team that we put out wasn't as good as we saw from the first team, but they were very, very good in understanding the way that we were playing, and they both seemed to have the same sort of idea. They were following the same sort of philosophy, and that's so important, because that will allow you to rotate during the season if everybody understands what we're trying to do. And Valverde as well tried to introduce a lot of pressing, which we haven't seen executed so well since Luis Enrique's first season at the club. Pep Guardiola, of course, is very much famous for pressing, trying to win the ball back within 6 or 7 seconds. We saw that against Juventus. Even the likes of Messi, was closing down, trying to win the ball back from deep. And one quick thing on Lionel Messi as well. He actually went through a number of training today and a few tests that a lot of the players do when they come back from pre-season. They do medical tests, they do medical different things, but he was actually being measured on his likes of sprints, on his jogging, and every single test that Messi did, he was actually better this summer than he's ever been. And they're actually saying that Lionel Messi right now is in peak physical condition, which means one thing: he is going to dominate in this season ahead, and I really do believe that. Messi looks fired up. The World Cup is next summer. He's got everything to play for. He's certainly got nothing to prove, but he's got everything to gain this season, because he is so pumped up to try and once again return us to glory after a disappointing season last season. Not for him, because he was magnificent, but for the team. And I think Messi has returned in really good shape, and that is only a positive for us. So what I want to know, guys, I know a few of you are going to the game on Wednesday, so enjoy that, enjoy the occasion, make sure you're soaking up that atmosphere and seeing the players on show. So let me know down below if you are going to the game, and of course, like before, let me know your score predictions down below. What do you think the outcome is going to be? I think we can win it. I think United are much further along in their preparations, but we can still win this, there's no doubt about that. So leave me your thoughts down below, guys. There was a few people last week who got the score spot on at 2-1, so good luck again for that. I'll see you very, very soon, but until next time, as always, Vesca el Barça.